How
Yeah,
did your journey start as a musician?
I've always been musical, which I think surprised my tone deaf parents. I've always liked music and been able to sing. So I was in choirs when I was younger, and all the way through school, I was in choirs. And I always enjoyed, all sorts of music, but never got into writing or performing until my 20s. I didn't pick up a guitar until I was in my 20s.
Oh, really?
And then I just did it for personal pleasure and, bedroom artist, but not putting my music out. And then the more I got older and matured further as an adult and started playing live, doing open mics and then putting music out. Yeah.
When did you play live for the first time?
That's a good question. That probably would have been the late noughties, maybe. So I did GCSE music and had to write stuff for that. It's really basic. But I never wrote anything until I got my guitar. And yeah, the first thing I wrote melodically it made no sense. Like just it just didn't make any sense at all. And then I started getting some nice little songs going. I thought, oh, I could perform that live. And I think I performed yeah, late noughties. It was in a really busy open mic in London. I went the week before. It was right near London, near Tower Bridge, a pub there. And I went the week before just to see how it was and whether it was my fit for me being a complete beginner. And there were people reading music from music stands and stopping and starting. I thought this is for me, complete beginner. And I went the week after, and it was like 10 times busier. The first guy was, I don't know what the musical instrument was, but it was like a upright sitar type of thing. There's only one of like 13 of them or something in the world. And he played this
Really?
Prince song. He played this Prince cover of the first song, and it was just the best thing I'd like ever heard. And I was 13th on, and I was like, oh my God. Um, but I got through it. I had 3 songs set, and yeah,
Yeah.
really enjoyed it. So from there, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. I've got a Prince t-shirt on as well. I love a bit of Prince.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I always imagine I imagine it's quite daunting when you get up for that first time and go for it.
Yeah, it is. I mean, um, I've done it for a long time, but very irregularly. I've got a day job, a career, and other things in my life have taken precedence over, um, for a long time, over the music and playing live. Recently, with COVID happening, my son getting married, my son being born, my dad passed away just after my son was born. Um, Picking up a lot more and moving to Worthing as well, which was 5 years ago.
You had
Um,
a lot going on.
I personally felt like London was a bit too much for me in the musical sense. Like the obviously it's a massive pool of talent, and it's generally maybe where you want, or used to be 20 years ago, where you would go if you wanted to get signed. You go and live in Camden for like,
Yeah.
2 years in a bed sit and stand in the right pubs and hope someone noticed you. Um, but coming to Worthing, it felt a lot more relaxed and accepting of people's abilities and much more of a community thing. Because if you went to an open mic in central London, the catchment area of that is, what is it, 10 million people,
Yeah.
right? That could potentially go to that pub, the people that can come in or work in London or whatever. Whereas in Worthing, you go to the pubs, it's generally the same people,
Yeah. That's what it's
and
like where I live.
which is nice because you build up a community of an understanding. You get a network, kind of, you can quickly get and build up a network of people that that do things. So without really trying, I've built up an ability where, if they've got spaces on their open mic showcases or something, they'll give me a bell.
Yeah.
If I'm able to do something. So yeah, it's quite
Uh,
nice down
That's
being
what
down.
that's what it's a bit like where I live. There's a good little like there's a good bunch of lads that keep the music thing going. They have like little festivals and they've got a good
Yeah,
like sort of jam night they do and stuff. It's quite good. It's good.
yeah, exactly. And if you know the vibe of the different pubs have different vibes, different evenings have different vibes. Like the one I went to last night, open mic. This is in Brighton, but they started it back in November, and it's called Strum and Drum, where the artist gets up and strums their guitar, and the audience has a choice of percussion to pick up and shake and bang and hit, and if they feel so inclined, which creates a different kind of atmosphere
Yeah.
and a different. I spoke to the other artists that were playing that last night as well, and they had a different mindset about what songs to play as well. So it kind of challenged you in that way. So yeah, there's lots of different various little things that you can go and play like that.
That's
Yeah.
cool. I like that. What's who've been like? Would you say like your influences and stuff like your for your music?
Oh, mate, how long have you got? Um, it varies. Like I'll tell you, like recently. So I released a song last Friday called "A Different Light," and I've got another
I
two.
was listening to that just before you we just started chatting like that, and I liked small miracles.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah. Yeah.
listen
Oh,
to them.
nice.
I like them.
Yeah. Cool. So I yeah, as you might have noticed from Small Miracles, much bigger sound, more like a kind of full band. I did a bunch of tracks with a producer in Brighton, and he built up the songs from my acoustic kind of a bass level track. And I gave him some pointers, reference tracks, and off he went. And over the winter, I kind of I watched The Complete Unknown. So this is giving you a kind of influences. So it's the
Yeah,
Dylan biopic, and I can't say I was a huge Dylan fan before the movie. I knew their classics,
yeah,
um, but the movie really puts across someone with my guitar ability, and also I've heard about like Bob. He can play guitar. He's not the greatest, and I read some reviews of him playing live now. Admittedly, he's 80, whatever he is, and the reviews that I've read say he cares he just doesn't care at all how bad he is on guitar. He's got the
yeah,
right musicians around him, and he's just doing his thing, you know. And I like that vibe of uh, it's almost like Dylan very quickly just did it for himself. And if
yeah,
other people like what he does, then great. People still turn up to hear him do his music, and uh, that kind of influenced me on the tracks I've done over the winter. Just me and my guitar trying to sound. Also, it's a bit of an excuse because I'm not a great producer, but trying to make it sound kind of rough and ready and bits, bit that kind of 60s vibe on the reverb and that kind of sound. So, and apart from that, the other stuff that I put out on with Steve Baker, who produced these tracks, the vibe that I've put out power pop kind of stuff, a bit like Fountains of Wayne,
yeah,
if you know them,
yeah. I do.
that kind
Yeah,
of stuff, and then more Americana kind of stuff, a bit along the lines of Jason Isbell
yeah. I like a bit of
and Ryan
Americana.
Adams. Yeah,
Yeah,
Ryan
my
Adams.
friend's a massive Ryan Adams fan.
Yeah, the guy's just, I don't know, he seems to put out I did like 5 albums a year forever.
What's your songwriting process like? So I spoke to a band the other day, and I quite like that they sort of said they bounce ideas off each other and then they sort of thingy. But obviously, you're a solo artist, so what's it like for you?
So yeah, I bounce ideas off the wall in this room. Generally, I'll have a melody come in my head and I will note it down. This is what I do now.
Yeah,
Like if you'd asked this question 20 years ago, I'd have had a notebook and a dictaphone and all that kind of gubbins, but everything goes on the phone. I might have a melody, so I just note that down before I forget it, and then I'll come in here and I'll build up chords around it, try and figure out where that's going. Generally, that melody that comes in my head is the hook,
Yeah.
or the chorus, or and then from there I need to I build it up, and I don't have any idea what the story is. I might not have any lyrics, so I'll just make gibberish noises until lyrics start kind of coming out, and then maybe a story comes out, and then put it together like that. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. And what do you think the most rewarding part about being an independent artist is?
I would say getting any kind of recognition at the moment for me is rewarding and uplifting. That's the biggest thing for me at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't play out that live very often. My wife has a disability, which I wrote. She Suffers So, which you might have heard.
I've listened to a few songs today. I might have listened to that as well. I had you on at work, so I was listening to some of the.
Oh, cool! Oh, nice. I played songs like that, and I played an open mic last year, and I wasn't expecting any. A lot of the times when you play an open mic, depending on the venue, you might just be playing to the other artists.
Yeah.
It happens, but it's nice networking and supporting each other and having a chat afterwards about how things are going. But occasionally you might be in a place like there's a great pub in Brighton called the Lewis Road Inn, and which I'm playing in June, and it's in the main pub. Sometimes you might be in a side room, so you tend to only get the people that are there just for the open mic. But if this is in the main pub, so you get people that are going to the bar and coming in and going out and stuff. So I play this one. And afterwards, someone came up to me and said, your music just really struck home and really connected with me. And I just wanted to say that. And I was like, it's that
That's got to be
a
great feeling.
Yeah, it's an amazing feeling. Because, I'm sat at home writing these, and some of them are quite old songs. So I'm writing them just for myself. And if it connects with someone else, it's an amazing feeling. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool, man. I've seen you use like social media and things as well to put your music out and stuff. Do you think that plays a big part for musicians now as well?
Oh yeah, I mean,
got it, innit?
If you're independent, you've got it. Well, I would say you've got to do it all. Really, you've got to do it all if you can. If you don't do social media, then I don't know. You just look like you're cutting off one of your arms or something. It's literally
same. Especially with newer artists, it's a lot better for them to get their stuff out.
Yeah, I mean, you go back to the MySpace days. That's where Lily Allen was discovered, and and I put no one discovered me. I put some really badly recorded stuff on MySpace that doesn't exist in the universe now. But it was a great space. It was brilliant, and even back then, that if you wanted to get listened to all over the world, that's where you go. And because I've got these songs coming out, I'm trying more to get more stuff out. And my worst thing is has been a lack of consistency about it. You've got to keep doing it a few times a week to build the numbers up to get seen. It's I've looked at it. I'm someone who could have done what I'm doing 30 years ago, almost at the birth of the internet, where you didn't have any of this kind of thing going on, and any social media. So to me, it feels a little bit alien.
Yeah,
it's something new that I'm having to learn to do consistently. Whereas I did a in-store an HMV last year with just after a young lady that played, and we've swapped Instagrams, and she posts like 5 times a day because she's 18 and she doesn't have a family and a mortgage and a job and everything, and she's killing it. She's absolutely smashing it, and she's got some great music, and that's what you got to do. So and it's a natural world. You know, it's what she's grown up with. So it's something I've had to consciously adopt, and I'm still getting there. I'm still
Right.
getting there.
It's a big old world, the social media side, isn't it? Well, how do you feel about streaming? Because well, obviously I get that streaming's a good way of getting your music out there and stuff, but financially it's not great for artists, I don't think. Like it's a tough one, isn't it? Because it is a good way of getting your music out there, and
Yes, and it looks like, you know, my distributor just distributes to I don't know how many platforms, but they say 150 countries, and but how are you going to get noticed amongst the
yeah,
other 100,000 tracks that get released every week? And that's increasing all the time. And you've got AI tracks coming in and jumping in to making it look and sound like they're actual musicians.
yeah, I hate all that AI stuff. I hate all that AI stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I'll get onto that if we've got time. Um, and the number one streaming service is Spotify. Spotify doesn't pay independent artists unless they've got over 1,000 any track by an independent artist unless it's got over 1,000 listens in a year, right?
Oh,
If you haven't got that, you don't get paid anything. If it goes over that, you only get paid for the number of streams after that. So, but it's the main place where people listen still. So some people I know I use Threads. I don't know if you know that social media.
I've heard of it. I've never used it.
It's Meta's version of Twitter, of X. You know, it's Facebook's version of it. And but the algorithm, you can tightly pack the algorithm so that you only see what you want to see. So I only am in touch with other musicians. I only see what other musicians say. Some people on there are absolutely killing it on Bandcamp, and they're concentrating on that because that's where, aside of selling the stuff on their own website, that's where an artist gets paid the most for any download of their music. They get the highest percentage there. If someone streams your song on Bandcamp, you don't get paid, which I think is a little bit off.
Yeah.
But that's where you're going to make the most money from selling your music. So some people are killing it on there. I'm trying to build up numbers on Spotify just because I feel like it's not just the streams and the income that's important. It's the kind of presence that's important, a bit like the number of followers you have. So I feel like my music myself might be taken a bit more seriously if I have 100, 1,000, 10,000 monthly listeners. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just playing the game. You know, I don't think I'm going to have, you know, being a single independent artist. I don't know, whinging about it won't necessarily influence anything. But if I play the game and get the numbers, then it will ultimately, hopefully, help me in the long run.
Yeah, definitely. You've got to just go with the times, isn't you? And it's the way it's going.
Yeah, and you know, if you can add more listeners, followers, they'll have your music in your in their library. They'll keep listening to it, and hopefully, eventually, you build up a kind of community of followers. You know.
Yeah.
Have we got time to talk about AI?
Yeah, go. Yeah, what are your thoughts on AI? I hate it. It's horrible.
Have you heard AI music
I've
on
heard
Spotify?
AI getting Bob Dylan to do Friday by Rebecca Black. It was horrible. It was just horrible.
But have you heard, like, there was and it popped up in my release radar, you know, the playlist that comes around every Friday of music that Spotify thinks you'll like. And there was a band, and it sounded like any other country rock song you'd imagine. And I thought, this is kind of catchy, but it's also kind of bland. But it sounded so cliched, like, you know, within the first 5 lines, it mentions horses and whiskey and pickup trucks, and
Bit
you
like
got to
every
get it all
country
in there,
song.
right? And I mean, it's got to be in there. And so I looked them up, and there's no faces on any of the photos, right? It's all the cover artwork, first of all. There's no description of the band in their profile, and there's no merch or events or anything like that. You look at their streams, they're smashing it, right? Hundreds of thousands of streams because they've got themselves onto these playlists and or whoever runs them. That's it. Whoever's running it, this AI bot is getting them all the streams, and no one. There's no signifier to tell the listener this is not people. This or how much of it has been programmed, or it was someone sang the track, but it was then processed this way, something like that. If there was like a color coding system or something that said this is an entirely AI track, no human had anything to do with this, then I would like to personally filter out all of that stuff. I don't want to even have it suggested to me. I don't want it pop up anywhere. Other people might love it. What they've done or what the AI does, how they've trained it, works brilliantly because it's such a bland song and it's such bland music, but it's also so familiar that it just works as background music.
Yeah.
You either create music like K-pop that keeps people's interest in the song all the time, and it's always like every bar is different. You have to have a rap, you have to have someone singing falsetto, someone singing bass, all that kind of stuff, the beat changing. You either keep people's attention that way, or you don't wake the people up from the kind of background noise that kind of scenario that the person's in, because you don't want them to skip it. So you make music that's bland enough that fits into the playlist. So it's one long seamless listen, because the worst thing that Spotify wants and the worst thing that these AI producers want is for people to skip the tracks before 30 seconds or leave the platform. Anyway, rant over.
Yeah. But that was it, really. That was just like that was cool. It. Just your chat about your stuff, and then thanks for doing it. I appreciate it.
That's all right.